October 10, 2025. Before sunrise, the port of Novorossiysk on the Black Sea became the stage for a silent deal between Beijing and Moscow. High above, a satellite from Kiev's Lanter space system pierced through the Crimean fog and captured what was invisible to the human eye, a convoy of trucks moving in eerie silence. Inside each truck were DF-11 short-range ballistic missiles, each capable of carrying a 1,100-pound warhead, enough to obliterate an entire district of a Ukrainian city. The signal reached Kiev's command center like a spark hitting dry powder. No speeches, no negotiations, only one command: activate Operation Night Veil. Within minutes, dozens of FPV kamikaze drones lifted off. Cheap, small, relentless. No chatter filled the network, only coordinates and one encrypted command: attack. 15 missile trucks and their armed escorts were driving straight into a storm they could not see. Could Russia's Panzer S-1 air defense intercept this swarm of low-cost assassins? Or would the night end with an explosion that rewrote the balance of power on the Black Sea? 0347 a.m. High above the Black Sea, a Lanter space system satellite captured a frame that changed everything. In the stillness of Novorossiysk port, a container marked ALH-455 was being unloaded. Its steel walls bore the emblem of China's Norco Group. Around it moved approximately 20 heavily armed Chinese soldiers guarding what appeared to be a covert missile transfer. Within 9 seconds, the image reached Kiev. The AI system ran it through 128 recognition filters. The verdict was immediate. Inside those 15 trucks were DF-11 short-range missiles, each capable of carrying a 1,100-pound warhead to a range of nearly 190 miles, enough to strike deep into Ukraine's second-largest city, Kharkiv. If the convoy reached its forest base in Belgar, Russia would gain a battlefield advantage worth hundreds of millions of dollars and potentially cost thousands of Ukrainian lives. At 3:49 a.m., a red alert flashed across the Kiev Situation Room. Operation Night Veil, one analyst muttered. A Reaper MQ-9, armed with 4 Hellfire missiles and advanced EOIR sensors, was launched to 10,000 feet, tasked with shadowing the convoy and capturing every radio pulse, every engine heat signature. The MQ-9 sensors detected 15 trucks, 4 escort vehicles, and 2 command jeeps moving north at roughly 38 miles per hour through dense woodland. AI algorithms projected their likely rest stop 12 miles ahead near a fuel depot routinely used by Russian logistics convoys. Inside Kiev, the realization settled like ice. This wasn't a cargo run, it was a mobile escalation. China was supplying Russia's front line under cover of darkness. The decision came with no debate. We intercept, the director ordered. At 3:52 a.m., data links locked, satellites aligned, and Ukraine's first invisible strike of the night began. The hunters were already in motion. 4:05 a.m. The MQ-9 Reaper held steady at 10,000 feet, engines whispering above the fog-covered forest of Belgar. On its thermal feed, 15 missile trucks, 4 escort vehicles, and 1 command jeep carved a glowing trail through the darkness. Each DF-11 missile carried a 1,100-pound warhead, enough to obliterate a city block the size of Times Square. Altogether, the convoy carried a combined explosive potential exceeding 16,000 pounds of high-grade TNT, a rolling bomb train moving barely 38 miles per hour toward Ukraine's border. Inside Kiev's control center, a wall of monitors flickered with intercepted data. Ukraine's AI algorithms analyzed over 400 gigabytes of live telemetry every minute. Within 46 seconds, they identified the command vehicle by its abnormal burst pattern. 37 unique RF signatures clustered around a high-band frequency at 4.3 gigahertz. Predictive mapping estimated the convoy would pause 12.4 miles ahead near an abandoned fueling depot last used by Russian armor columns in early 2023. The order came fast. Deploy 2 modified MTLB armored vehicles, call signs Echo 1 and Echo 2, 2 to intercept. They moved under radar blackout, halting 4 meters from the highway. Both vehicles carried custom EW suites powered by twin 4-kilowatt emitters capable of replaying and distorting enemy telemetry in real time. Their secret weapon, Echo Trap, reflected radio waves back at their source, turning enemy jammers into blind transmitters. At 4:13 a.m., alarms flared. A BSUM-2 missile system stationed 8 miles south detected a low-flying Ukrainian scout drone at 620 feet and vaporized it with a single missile traveling Mach 3.5. Within minutes, Russia launched 2 Orlan-10 drones, broadcasting jamming waves strong enough to paralyze electronics within 10 square miles. But the Ukrainians struck first. Echo 1 activated the trap. It captured the Orlan 4.3 GHz pulse, inverted it, and sent it back. The result? Total chaos. Both Orlan drones reported conflicting coordinates, spinning out of alignment. For 172 seconds, Russia's jamming grid went blind, a blackout window worth millions of dollars in disrupted defense systems. In that silence, Kiev's AI locked on to the final waypoint, 4:15 a.m. The convoy stopped right where the forest narrowed, just as predicted. The trap was ready. The strike would follow in minutes. Everything was in place: traps, decoys, silence. But no one in Kiev could be certain whether the enemy would step into the kill zone or vanish into the mist forever. The Belgar forest was silent. Dew clung to pine needles. Engines hummed low. 15 missile trucks, each worth nearly $8 million, rolled into a narrow clearing. The convoy's total cargo, over $120 million in DF-11 missiles and logistics gear, could flatten entire city sectors if deployed on the Kharkiv front. The drivers didn't know they were already inside a kill box calculated down to the last 12 feet by Kiev's AI. At 4:16:42 a.m., the encrypted message arrived: "Execute Strike Alpha." Inside the second MTLB, 2 operators keyed ignition. A sound like a swarm of bees tore through the trees as 20 FPV kamikaze drones shot upward. Each drone weighed only 4.4 pounds, carrying a 2-pound shaped charge. Together, they carried explosive power rivaling a 500-pound bomb. The swarm climbed to 200 feet, synchronized via laser pulse telemetry refreshed 20 times per second. Then, the drones broke into patterns only AI could predict. 10 targeted the convoy's fuel trucks, 5 aimed for missile trailers, and 5 at command vehicles. Russian radar operators reading screens filled with dozens of false echoes never saw them coming. 4:17:10 a.m. The first drone hit. A direct strike into a fuel truck carrying 620 gallons of diesel produced an orange fireball reaching 65 feet into the air and registering 3.2 on local seismic sensors. Within 8 seconds, 2 more drones struck missile bays. Each DF-11 warhead contained 1,100 pounds of propellant. The blast sequence chained at 1,700 feet per second, turning 15 vehicles into a storm of molten shrapnel. Panic rippled through the escort units. The Panzer S-1 nearby attempted a counter-salvo, 357 E-6 missiles, each costing $90,000. But its radar, corrupted by echo trap interference, misfired all 3 into empty air. Russian soldiers fired wildly into smoke as explosions lit the forest for miles. By 4:18:40 a.m., flames consumed everything. Trucks melted into skeletal frames. Shockwaves shattered glass 9 meters away. Drone telemetry logged a heat spike of 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit at the epicenter. In less than 5 minutes, an operation worth under $25,000 annihilated over $120 million in hardware, killing or disabling 55 soldiers, many believed to be Chinese advisors embedded with the Russian team. 4:20 a.m. Silence. A crater 35 feet wide smoldered at the heart of the clearing. From orbit, Lanter confirmed total destruction. One analyst in Kiev whispered the math aloud. 20 drones took down 15 missile trucks, 1 kill every 15 seconds. The forest had rewritten the rules of modern warfare. If you think the strike ended here, think again. The aftermath would expose secrets Russia never wanted the world to see. 4:21 a.m. The echo of the explosion still rolled across Belgar forest valleys when the last fires began to fade. Where the convoy had been, there was only ruin. 15 DF-11 missile trucks reduced to molten frames, 4 escort vehicles burned into the soil, and a crater 35 feet wide glowing like a furnace. The heat signature peaked at 1,420 degrees Fahrenheit, enough to liquefy aluminum, melt asphalt, and warp steel suspensions of nearby vehicles. For the next 20 minutes, the forest burned like a torch. Russian units at a radar station 11 miles away misread the destruction as an artillery strike. The Panzer S-1 battery, already half-blind from echo trap interference, launched 2 more missiles, both worth $180,000, into nothing. One exploded in mid-air, scattering debris across their own perimeter. Local commanders went silent, their encrypted radios overwhelmed by a wave of static from the destroyed convoy. RF systems fried simultaneously. At 4:35 a.m., the first emergency response team reached the site. Drone footage later confirmed 55 dead or missing, at least 22 bodies belonging to Russian and Chinese personnel. Every missile casing was split open, none were salvageable. The shockwaves shattered 57 windows in a nearby rural settlement 9.3 miles away. Forensic units described the blast pattern as surgical yet catastrophic. Meanwhile, in Kiev's underground intelligence center, screens glowed in the dark. The Reaper's infrared feed confirmed total destruction. The